Hello, I'm your host Jim McClean. Welcome back to a brand new series of the Banterflix movie review show here on NVTV. Let's see what movies we'll be talking about tonight. We'll be chatting about the Fantastic Four, First Steps, and James Gunn's new Superman movie, which are both still available to watch at the cinema. And our pick of the streams is Happy Gilmore 2, which is available on Netflix's streaming service. So that's what we've lined up for you this week. Yes, we are back here in the studio in Belfast. I'm sure you've missed us. There'll be some people crying with delight that the Banterflix movie review show is back. Brand new series, same old faces. Joining me this week is our own deputy editor, Joe McElroy.
How's it going, Jim?
And Aaron Flanagan from the Comic Book Guys.
Hi, Jim.
So we have a packed show, but Aaron, since we have you on, you've had a busy couple of weeks. I know you're just getting ready to go to Dublin Comic Con, which I know you're going to be very busy at that, but you've also had an event at the store.
Yeah, as you know, Jim, we're always running event-based stuff, and really from the July-August period right through to December, it's our busiest period for events. And as you say, we've just finished an event there with the actress and voice actress extraordinaire, Karen Strassman. So she's done the voice of Katana, Melina from Mortal Kombat, Rouge the Bat from Sonic. Over 500 different roles. She's been in live action stuff like Preacher, Creep Show, all sorts of stuff. So she hits a lot of fandoms, and the turnout was amazing on Saturday. It was a great event. We had so many people come out and share their experiences of, you know, the stuff that they love seeing Karen, and she gave it all back. So it was great, and it was great to see that, you know, the big events and the big cons that come here, you know, whilst they get good big numbers, we provide a more intimate event where you get an experience that you don't get anywhere else. So it was great to see, and yeah, we've got another 4 or 5 planned for the next couple of months, so we're looking forward to it.
That sly look in your face says you're not going to tell us what it is, but talking to cons, I know Dublin Comic Con's coming up shortly, but later in the year, of course, we're going to have Christopher Lloyd, Back to the Future. You're a child like me who loves Back to the Future. I don't know, we've never really talked about this. Are you a big con person? Would Christopher Lloyd coming to Belfast, well, the Econ Centre in Lisburn, would that appeal to you?
Well, it's a start, isn't it? No, to be fair, I've never went to any cons or anything like that. It's just, I think it's more just doing myself and feeling a bit awkward. It's like, oh, I don't know about going to this thing on my own. And then, no, my mates were really up for the idea of it. But when you've guests like Christopher Lloyd and some of the other ones I've seen lined up, I'm like, you know what, maybe just put that anxiety to the side and just give it a go, see what it's like.
I'll go with you. If anyone else feels, anyone watching at home, if you want to go with Joe to the con, I'm sure you'll get some takers. But anyway, that's enough of us. We've all caught up. Let's move on and chat about some movie news.
1.
So that's a look at the trailer for Alien Earth. It's dropping on the 12th of August. For any viewers in the United States, it's going to be on Hulu, but everywhere else it's going to be on Disney+. We can't review it because we haven't seen it yet, but I've seen a couple of reviews already, really positive about this. So Joe, from the three of us here, I know you're a massive fan of the Alien franchise. So are you intrigued by this series as we go from short form storytelling with the Xenomorph to long form?
I am very intrigued as to how you can make this a long form thing, because traditionally with Alien, it's essentially always a story of like a group of people put in a situation with these xenomorphs and what happens, how chaos unfurls. So to do that over an X amount of episodes, be it 6, 8, 10, whatever the series is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how they develop that. So as well as that, the showrunner, I'm a big fan of the Fargo TV series, so I'm interested to see what he's going to bring to something like Alien. And like yourself, I've seen some of the early reviews and how they say they've captured the look and the feel of the world perfectly. So that's what's really got me intrigued. So I'm excited to see how it all turns out.
Finally, we're getting the long promised, bring in the Xenomorphs to Earth. Let's not talk about Alien and versus Predator movies. This is the point where I come to Aaron Flanagan, and Aaron Flanagan says, Jim, hold your horses. I particularly love the Alien versus Predator movies. So I don't know how much you know about this, but are you intrigued? We're having aliens. It's set before the first Alien film. We're having not just a xenomorph, but we're going to have other creepy crawlies and creatures from other parts of the universe's darkest region on screen. Are you excited by this?
I do love Alien and Predator stuff, as that is my type of film.
I knew you would.
All out action. I love. Although I think the thing that works for Alien, based on what you have said, and even looking at it, I think the fact that the long format will actually work very well. Because one of the things that I've always loved about all of the Alien films that I've watched, they build suspense very well, but you can only do so much of that in a short period of time. I've never thought that the big reveal of the alien, once that happens in the films, that's always the bit that you're looking for. So if they build it up in the TV show in a longer format, I think it could be a great show, and especially if it's the showrunner for Fargo. They're very good at doing that slow build to something quite big. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it now. So yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Okay, that's great. So that's something, of course, we can't talk about too much because we haven't seen it yet. We can't review something we haven't seen. So let's move on and let's go to the big screen and talk about a movie we have seen.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death. Your world will be consumed by the Devourer. There is nothing you can do to stop him, for he is a universal force, as essential as the stars. Hold your loved ones close, and speak the words you've been afraid to speak. Use this time to rejoice and celebrate, for your time is short. I herald his beginning, I herald your end, I herald Galactus.
So that's a look at the trailer for Fantastic Four, The First Steps. We've been here before, even though it's The First Steps, not once but twice. This is the third reboot, if you don't count the Roger Corman TV movie that didn't make it to air, although there's a couple of nods to this, very knowing, very pointed nods to that within the Fantastic Four movie. So this is, I believe, Phase 6 of the MCU, 32nd, 33rd, I'm not sure. I've lost count at this point. But Joe, this is the point where we bring you in. Now here we have our Fantastic Four. It's not a spoiler to say our Fantastic Four are about to become a Fantastic Five. But what did you think of this installment? As I say, Phase 6, I think it's the start of Phase 6 for the MCU. What do you think of this film?
Well, going into it, to be perfectly honest, I had major superhero film fatigue. The last few Marvel films I haven't even bothered going to the cinema. I think the last one I did go to see prior to this was Thor: Love and Thunder. That was the cut-off point for me. I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I'll wait till it come on Disney Plus or whatever. And it hadn't really gotten better since. But then I watched Thunderbolts, and it was actually, pretty liked it. I was like, that's a bit of a change from what we're used to with this, what the MCU offers. And then I was like, a bit more optimistic going to this, and then once it started, once you go into that opening montage, I was like, I'm actually enjoying this. It's nice to actually be enjoying Marvel films again. I think it's because of its earnest tone, and it's very genuine in the way it's presenting these characters. Like, my only sort of knowledge of them, to be honest with you, was from the Fox films and even the animated series. I remember watching it growing up and enjoying it. But beyond that, I don't know an awful lot about the characters, to be perfectly honest. But what I really liked about the film is how their dynamic worked well together, and the chemistry between the cast is great, and each sort of, deliver in their respective roles, and they have their own specific moments to shine. And then you have just, say, even for example, like Ralph Ineson as Galactus, his voice is just perfect for that role. And I know he did a lot of actual live action stuff himself within the particular role, and then Julie Garner was great as the Silver Surfer. So for me, it was just overall a refreshing experience to be sort of not have to do homework before a film, if you know what I mean. Like, you could go into this film cold, not knowing anything about the MCU, and it's its own story in its own right. But the thing that's shown for me more than anything is the sort of production design and the costumes, that sort of retro-futuristic view of the 60s within like a modern context. I thought that was just fantastic. So I really enjoyed it.
Like you, this film has at least got me reinvigorated with the MCU. Well, maybe that's a bit of an overstep. back the fact that it's like, it doesn't feel like a chore to go see them in the cinema. It's the sense that I'm in this deep, whatever it is, 30 so films, it's like you just go, you have my money because I just want to see where it goes. What I liked, and again, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, feel free to say if it's not, this is an alternative universe, you know, we've got an expansion of the multiverse to an extent here. What it was nice to see that it wasn't bogged down with superheroes galore. We really have a world where it's just the Fantastic Four. How that kind of plays out into Doomsday, I know it's kind of set up within this film. It's fun, like you've mentioned, casting Vanessa Kirby I think is great, particularly as Sue Storm, given much more to do, in my opinion, than what we've seen before. Maybe The Thing, Ben Grimm, I think is a little bit of those four central characters marginalised a little bit this time in comparison to previous incarnations where he was much the emotional thrust of the narrative. But it's fun. It's that sense, it's like, we know where we're going. My only real excitement for the future is the fact that we know that the classic X-Men, the likes of Patrick Stewart and McKellen, are coming back to an extent. We don't know how much for Doomsday and Secret Wars. But yeah, I'm more enthused about the next film we'll be talking about as opposed to this. Aaron, you've held your powder for quite some time. Maybe a little bit underwhelmed with this.
You know what? Underwhelmed's a good word. I went in with probably too high expectations. I mean, I'll be honest, the Michael Chiklis and the version of Fox way back in the day I actually quite enjoyed, and having seen future or versions that came after that, I can see why I enjoyed that because it was the best out of the lot. So this one, I sort of thought, the cast looks like it could be good for it. All the things, the storyline sounded good. Having Galactus appear, as a kid who was thinking Galactus was one of the scariest things ever, I thought this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But it wasn't. I disagree with a lot of what you said. I disagree. I think the casting sounded good. I think the casting was weak. I think Ebon Moss as the Thing was awful. I could hardly make out a word he was saying. I think Pedro Pascal is too overused in most films now. I don't think he didn't have the arrogance of Reed, because Reed's always the smartest man in the room. He played this slightly different, and it didn't feel like Reed. I think Joseph Quinn as Johnny was awful. He hasn't got the charisma or again the arrogance that Johnny has. He hasn't got the likability that he has to play that off. I think Vanessa Kirby was the standout. I think she was quite a good Sue. She had a nice moment where she talked to a crowd of people and you actually did well up a little bit. So she probably held the family dynamic together. I think Galactus, as you say, was fantastic in it. In the moments in space, when you see him on Earth, it looked like, I mean, CGI, I don't know what's went wrong in the last few years for Marvel films. They just can't get it right. Instead of him looking like some big, the devourer of worlds, he just looked like he was stepping on Play-Doh. It looked awful. There was cool moments in it. Some of the stuff we get to see was good, as I say, seeing Galactus. But for some reason, for Mr. Fantastic who stretches, you hardly see him stretch in the film. For somebody who flames on, you don't see him flame on an awful lot. The Thing is a bag of rocks the whole time. You don't get to see anything prior to that. And I think as much as we always talk about, it's good not to see origin stories, it's great not to see a whole film about an origin, I think it lacked an origin in this, because as much as it threw in this cool futuristic looking place, there was you weren't emotionally involved with the character, so you just sort of thought, I could take it or leave it. And I think the biggest thing for me is, I'm not sure, probably should have looked who the director is of this, but if memory serves, it's the person who did WandaVision. It feels like a TV film. It doesn't have the epic scale that it should have done for a Fantastic Four film. And I think that the biggest thing for me was and I can't believe I'm saying it because all I do is criticize James Gunn recently, is it lacked music. It lacked a really good score. There was the scenes where there's a culmination fight or a big sort of crescendo. It just fell flat. There was just nothing. So, yeah, it was all right.
Okay, Anne. I want you to pause for breath, cool down, because I feel like you've got some things off your chest there. I don't think any of that is going to be going on the movie poster. As we move from talking about the Fantastic Four, let's move on and talk about our next film. So that's a look at Superman 2025, to give it its full title. We have James Gunn taking over the DC universe. Not much of a setup. It's not an origin story, much like what you mentioned with Fantastic Four. This is 3 years in. We have Superman in a world where Lex Luthor is obsessed with our Kryptonian superhero, and he is intervening and meddling in wars, whether or not, let's not get into kind of real world scenarios here. It's all fictional, of course, in that sense. But, Aaron, you had a bit of a rant, bit of a vent about Fantastic Four. That's ate a lot of this episode up in its own. What did you think of Superman?
I'll keep this one brief. It was, do you know what, Superman, it was good. Part of the thing for me, I talk to people on a daily basis, because I'm in a comic book shop, about their feelings and the expectation level was so high on this as well. I really enjoyed it. I did. I don't think it's as good as the plaudits are giving it. It's, everybody's saying this is the best thing ever. This is unbelievable. Corn Sweat's amazing, all this. And a lot of those things are true, but it's not the best. It's definitely not the best superhero film ever. Not in my opinion. I think it's certainly maybe top 5, top 6, but it's the best version of Superman we've seen in a long time. And the reason I liked it is because it felt like a Superman comic book. James Gunn, it's widely known, James Gunn's a humongous comic book fan, so he wanted to transfer some of those things we see on the page on screen. So he got the hopefulness of Superman, he got the loving and caring elements to it, which were so lovely in this film. But more importantly, he got the look just right. That's sort of silver golden age Superman. It just looked right on screen. It was a great looking film that felt like a comic book, and that's the best compliment I can give it, because Superman is a character who is all about hope and who is all about truth, justice, and changing pop culture, which he clearly has now with this. And the film itself, there were so many great moments to talk about. The casting for the most part was fantastic all around. He is very good at picking, people who we've long wanted to see in roles. Getting to see Nathan Fillion as a Green Lantern, doesn't matter what Green Lantern he was a bucket list for me.
With that haircut. As someone who has good hair, Aaron, you must surely appreciate the hair.
I'm thinking of going for a bowl cut now. That he was class in it. Mr. Terrific, well, he was terrific. He just had it nailed. Eddie Gathie's very good at character acting. The one disappointing character, I think, and it was probably Hawkgirl. She seemed to get the lesser screen time than everybody else. You didn't really feel emotionally connected to her character. Overall, the film, I went away with a smile on my face, and I went away thinking, you know what, this is a family film for everybody to watch, and that's the whole takeaway from Superman. He is a character for everybody. So I'm really, really excited to see what to do with this. As I say, I think it was brilliant, but it does seem to be getting, maybe it's because of people's fatigue, it's refreshing, and that's maybe what we wanted. We wanted something that was a little bit different. So yeah, very, very good. Can't complain.
Like you, I had a lot of fun with this. It was just a sense that from what we've had with the Snyder, the kind of doom and gloom and ultra serious, like the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, 4 hours? I think if it is even just 4 hours, I just was not a fan of. But here we have something, it's like a nice little palate cleanser, absolutely fab, first big screen incarnation. We have Supergirl to look forward to. Whether or not she shows up in this, I'll leave it for the viewers to go and see it in the cinema. But it's just fun. I will say this, I did think the first half hour, 40 minutes, it's a mess, it's all over the place, but it did kind of steady itself, settle down. Like you mentioned, Aaron, there's not too many needle drops. It's not kind of the James Gunn style we've seen from Guardians of the Galaxy and even his previous, when he dipped his toe in the DC universe with the Suicide Squad follow-up of sorts. It's fun. I know he's pretty much confirmed of sorts that he is working on Superman 2. I think given the box office, yes, like we mentioned with the previous film, with Fantastic Four, it has had a drop in the States. I don't think it's going to surpass Man of Steel or the Batman vs. Superman movie in terms of its overall gross, but who cares? It's fun. As I say, that's the new punk rock. Joe, what about you? Where are you going to weigh this? Aaron's been positive. I've been positive. Are you going to make this 3 for 3?
You're right. Prior to the Fantastic Four, this was the film I was like, well, this is going to be sort of make or break for me, whether or not I decide to keep going to the cinema to watch superhero films. And thank God it made it for me, because it was really, well, the first time you see David Cornsweet fly, you're like, oh, that's Superman. Okay, this is where we are. This is fine. This is great. And I'm eager to see where it goes from here. Like Aaron was saying, the casting is spot on across the board. Nicholas Hoult is Lex Luthor. He's pure evil in the best way possible.
You want to boo and hiss.
Exactly. He's well, not pantomime, but you have pantomime reactions, put it that way. Rachel Brosnan's fantastic as Lois Lane. I really like the look of it, because prior to this, part of my problem and superhero fatigue I had is that every film that I'd seen before this had this like layer of grey sludge to it. Whereas this here it was like everything was brightened up. It's like somebody almost like just drew the curtains open again. You're like, oh, thank God, somebody understands that, these are comic book movies, so they're going to make a comic book movie. And that's exactly what James Gunn did in that regard. I really like the score as well, from John Murphy, I think it is. And yeah, like Aaron was saying, his take on the Superman theme, it's done well in the fact that it pays homage without, being like fan service, because that's the thing you hate, where you're like, oh, you see this here. Like with that element of things, they're like nods and Easter eggs. So if you actually do know the material really well, you'll probably appreciate them more. To be fair, I don't. I only know Superman really through the films, to be perfectly honest with you. But having said that, as a casual film goer, just to see a Superman film, I really enjoyed it for what it was, and I'd be eager to see more of it.
So, yep, thumbs up for us on Superman, less positive overall, I guess, on Fantastic Four First Steps. Those are both out in cinemas now. I think at this point we'll move from the big screen to talk about something you can watch at home as we talk about this week's Pick of the Streams.
How are you going to put Vienna through ballet school? It's $75,000 a year. That's 4 years. That's 333 grand.
That's terrible math, Johnny. It's 300 grand. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Let them see the Happy I fell in love with.
Come on, you got to do it, Dad.
All right, let's go. Let's go get him, Dad. But how about the jig? I know how to do it, Dad. Let's go.
Okay.
Got this.
What the hell is happening?
Happy Gilmore is breaking in yet another caddy he just met.
All right, we're going to go. See, but you bring those. Those always come. All right, that's it. They got a strap if you want to use the strap.
So that's a look at Happy Gilmore 2, Adam Sandler's latest partnership with Netflix. He returns, I think this is the first sequel to kind of the classic Adam Sandler breakout roles. So who knows, possibly we might see a Waterboy 2. I know Adam Neeson, my co-host in the pod, very excited for the possibility of a Little Nicky 2. I'm less enthused about that. But Joe, I'll come to you first. So guess narratively wise, a little bit of setup. Time has passed. Life has been a bit hard for our Happy. He has walked away from golf, a tragic event, and now finds himself, through in no ways contrived, finds himself having to go back onto the golf course. And this time, just so happens, there's a lot of famous faces, famous golfers popping up this time. What did you think?
Well,
never good when you start with well.
No, it never is. Well, I tried to be optimistic going into it. Before watching it, I rewatched the original. I was like, oh yeah, I remember how much fun I had with this here. So, put it on Netflix, had a wee cup of tea, wee bag of Maltesers beside me. I was like, oh, I'm in for a nice evening with this here. Within 5 minutes, I was just completely miserable. If a comedy's goal is to make you miserable, then it's failed on all fronts. It's just, you're watching, you're just like, why? Why? Like every 5 seconds, you're like, why? There's no, put it this way, I didn't even grin, never mind laugh, at any point throughout the film. I was actually constantly checking my watch going, wait, there's another 50 minutes of this here, it's still going on and on and on. And that's partly because it's so convoluted and adds so many layers to it. And you've mentioned, celebrity golfers and other cameos. That's the one other fundamental problem with the film. You've got people who've never been in front of a camera, look like they're reading off cue cards, and the whole thing is shot like it looks like a Super Bowl ad. It's just awful on all fronts, and I was just miserable watching it. And even like if you ask me about certain moments that happened in the film, I probably couldn't recollect them because I've forgotten so much of it. I just remember the worst parts of it, and I don't want to. Yeah, I just did not like it in the slightest.
Joe, if it wasn't mic'd up and we were in the studio, I'd reach over and give you a hug because I feel bad because I asked you to watch this for the show. I wasn't miserable. I didn't have as much of a reaction as you, the same reaction as you did, and I think that's partially because, like you, I rewatched the first film. Partly makes me feel old that it was 1996, but also it's the fact that I find that character of Happy Gilmore a little bit more annoying now. As I'm in my 40s, I'm not like the silly kind of 15, 16-year-old watching this. He's not as annoying here, and I would say from the get-go, from my point of view, I think it's of those Adam Sandler Netflix comedies, it's one of the better ones, but it's still not that funny. We have this weird kind of plot with, being able to kind of genetically modify or remove bones from people's bodies so that they can get longer drives. Weird, is there kind of a reference to the Live Golf PGA thing? More frustrating, we have one of the Safdie brothers playing the villain of sorts in this, and it just makes you go, I want to watch Uncut Gems, because Adam Sandler knows how to act. But yeah, I'm not as down as you, Joe. But here we come, where it's the circle of three, where there's Aaron Flanagan weighing on this, because when we were thinking of the show, I thought, what can we get Aaron to watch? Because usually when I pick something obscure, indie or left field, you moan and you groan, Aaron. So here I thought of a film, if I was going to think of a film Aaron Flanagan might enjoy, Happy Gilmore 2 might be it. So what did you think?
Would it surprise you if I told you I loved it? But I didn't.
Okay.
Do you know what? It was a film I'd already watched before you'd even asked, because I was so excited to see it. All the Happy Madison stuff from the 90s, Little Nicky, Happy Gilmore, all that stuff I loved as a kid. And I think you're right. I think it was of its time. When I heard it was getting released, I thought, you know what? This could be amazing. It could actually be class. And, bringing Shooter McGavin back and stuff, and I thought, here, this is going to be brilliant. I think the storyline again was weak. Do you know what it felt like? It felt like a really bad version of Space Jam. These 5 essentially good golfers taking on 5 super-powered golfers. And it was like, what has this got to do with Happy Gilmore? Trying to reprise roles of people who have passed, unfortunately, by doing it as family members and stuff. It was all really contrived. And then I thought, even Adam Sandler seemed to phone it in a lot of the time. He was probably the most charming thing about the film, and that doesn't say much because he wasn't great on it. But I think as a storyline, it was weak. I think the idea of bringing back stuff like that this hopefully will put a nail in that coffin. We don't need to see stuff like that. If you want to enjoy Happy Gilmore, go and watch the first one again. You don't need to see the second one. Too many cameos, too weak a storyline, and to be honest, to use a golf analogy, it definitely wasn't a hole-in-one. More a double bogey or a triple bogey.
The depressing thing is, these films, Netflix, they do some great films, but they view this as content. They are getting people's eyes on screens for 2 hours? They've signed that mega deal with Sandler many, many years ago. They're obviously happy with the returns. Does that mean we'll probably get a Happy Gilmore 3? Who knows? Potentially a Waterboy 2? The 43-year-old in me would happily have a Waterboy 2, because of those classic Happy Madison characters, that's the one I find least annoying. I would not be up for a Billy Madison sequel. I don't really want a Happy Gilmore 3, but that's sadly all we have time for this week. A mixed bag on this week's show. I think we've definitely decided this week a trip to the cinema is more worthwhile than sitting watching Happy Gilmore at home. But all that is left for us to do now is wrap up the show. So thank you very much, Joe.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks very much, Aaron.
Thanks, Jim.
And thanks very much for watching. It's great to be back again here in NVTV. And we'll be back next week talking more cinematic nonsense. But for now, until then, goodbye.